Before we relive one of the most dramatic incidents in aviation history, make sure to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Here, we uncover true stories of courage, chaos, and survival that changed the skies forever. On the morning of November 4th, 2010, Qantas's Airbus A380 gleamed under the hot Singapore sun. It was the pride of the Australian fleet, the largest and most advanced passenger aircraft in the world. Destination, Sydney. At 9:56 a.m., Flight Qantas 32 began its takeoff roll. On board were 440 passengers and 29 crew members. Everything seemed routine until 4 minutes after takeoff. The impossible happened. At 7,000 feet, a deafening explosion ripped through the aircraft. Engine number 2, built by Rolls-Royce, violently disintegrated. Metal fragments tore through the left wing, shredding electrical wiring, hydraulic lines, and critical sensors. Inside the cockpit, alarms screamed relentlessly. Within seconds, the normally calm display panels turned into a wall of chaos. Endless fault messages blinking in red and amber. Captain Richard de Crespigny, a respected veteran, took a deep breath. Beside him sat 4 experienced aviators. First Officer Matt Hicks, Second Officer Harry Wubbin, and 2 senior Czech captains observing the flight. They realized they were facing an unprecedented situation, an A380 suffering cascading failures, multiple system losses, and hundreds of lives depending on them. The first system check revealed horror. Over 50 fault messages appeared simultaneously. The left hydraulic system was gone. Fuel tank number 2 was losing pressure. Engine number 1 was behaving erratically. Even the spoilers and brake systems, vital for landing, seemed compromised. In mere moments, the pride of Qantas had become a wounded giant. In the passenger cabin, people heard the loud bang and felt the aircraft shudder. A strange metallic smell filled the air. Looking out the windows, some saw torn metal on the wing and fuel leaking in long, shimmering trails. Panic began to spread. Some passengers prayed. Others sat frozen in disbelief. The silence that followed was heavier than the explosion itself. Captain de Crespigny made a firm decision. They would return to Singapore, but the aircraft refused to cooperate. Automatic systems were dropping offline one by one. The remaining engines had to be manually adjusted, and the weight, nearly 400 tons, was far above the safe landing limit. The crew began fuel dumping procedures, circling the city for nearly 2 hours while assessing the damage. Inside the cabin, de Crespigny remained calm and transparent. In a steady voice, he told passengers that one of the engines had failed, but the aircraft was stable and fully controllable. He knew honesty would help suppress panic. Meanwhile, engineers from Rolls-Royce and Airbus on the ground were receiving real-time flight data, trying to understand the scope of the disaster. When the weight was finally reduced, the decisive moment arrived. Qantas 32 lined up for approach to Singapore's Changi Airport. The pilots knew that parts of the braking and control systems were damaged. The risk of an overrun was extreme, but there was no choice. Brace for impact, the captain instructed the cabin crew. The touchdown was brutal. The heavy aircraft roared down the runway at terrifying speed. The hydraulic brakes only partially responded, and reverse thrust had to be applied aggressively. Amid vibration, smoke, and tension, the massive A380 finally slowed, stopping just short of the runway's end. A stunned silence filled the cabin. No one could believe it. The world's largest passenger jet, severely damaged, had landed safely. No lives lost, no serious injuries. It was an achievement that would be studied by pilots and engineers for years to come. When emergency crews surrounded the aircraft, the extent of destruction became clear. Gaping holes in the wing, severed cables, and melted systems. A fragment of titanium weighing more than 50 kilograms had sliced through the structure like a blade. It was both a technological and human miracle. The subsequent investigation revealed the cause, a manufacturing defect in an oil pipe inside the Rolls-Royce Trent 900 engine. The leak led to overheating and ultimately catastrophic failure. Qantas grounded its A380 fleet for weeks. Rolls-Royce overhauled its inspection processes worldwide, but the name that resonated across the aviation world was Captain Richard de Crespigny. the man who kept his composure and led his team with surgical precision. Years later, Flight Qantas 32 remains a landmark in aviation safety and crisis management. Simulator sessions around the world still recreate its scenario for pilot training. Many passengers who were aboard recall that day as a lesson in trust and leadership under pressure. The event became a symbol of professionalism, emotional control, and the human capacity to face chaos head-on. The Qantas A380, though badly wounded, proved itself a fortress of the skies, and aviation learned a timeless truth. Even in the face of the unpredictable, courage and discipline can bring everyone home.